I started, reading about it, and I sort of stumbled on some writings about Aба and the Long March, and this was the first place that the Red Army and the Tibetans encountered each other during the 1930s, when the soldiers came west and north and wandered into the Tibetan plateau and had, not enough food or provisions, and started taking food from Tibetan homes, and as I explain in the book, started eating these small statues from monasteries that were made of flour and butter, and they felt like it was like they were eating the Buddha. This is actually from Chinese memoirs. There was a memoir by Commander Wu Fa Shen. Wanted to do, to send a very strong message about their displeasure with the Chinese Communist Party, and this was like the most dramatic statement they could make, was burning themselves. But I think it also had a lot to do with Tibetan attitudes towards nonviolence, and I heard this from many Tibetans in Aба and elsewhere, saying, like, we're not hurting anybody else. We're not targeting civilians or even police. We're only doing this to ourselves. We're sacrificing our own lives to make this statement. But we're Buddhists and we believe in nonviolence and we won't hurt others.
当然要打击，这是广大人民群众的强烈呼声。藏区人民就说不能这样了，要求政府要依法来管理宗教，管好宗教，管好寺庙，要依法来打击那些造成怂恿胁迫、引诱人死亡的这些事件。所以阿坝州就依法打击了。
example, if these people are really doing something what the Chinese government calls terrorists, then they would have done it they would have chosen a place where there are more people, where their death will also harm other people. You can see that almost all of these Tibetan self-immolations have been happening in isolated, remote places where sometimes there are no even non-Tibetan witnesses. So this is not terrorism.
I think in Aבה, in the period that I was writing about, there was some recognition that there was unhappiness there. And, the local government and the Chinese Communist Party as a whole is very, mindful of not losing face. And one of the claims of Chinese propaganda, Chinese government propaganda, is that the Tibetans are happy. They're so happy under Chinese communist rule. They're celebrating Surf Liberation Day, and they're dancing and singing and partying. And this was like a big loss of face. Like, that was what the Tibetans were saying. It's like, hey, we're not happy. I mean, I found that there were many Tibetans, in Aבה and elsewhere, who, really felt in a way that their life economically had improved under the Chinese Communist Party, and were maybe grateful about that. But that wasn't what it was about. It was about wanting to have, some measure of dignity and freedom in their lives, and not necessarily like Western democratic freedoms, but the same privileges as other Chinese citizens. The right to speak their own language, the right to worship freely, at least in their own homes, the right to travel, which is a very big thing for Tibetans. They watch Chinese, going to Europe and going to Thailand and sending their kids abroad to study, and they can't travel. They're, the country's become sort of a prison for them. Yeah, there were already a lot of closed circuit cameras, like all around the monasteries, and when you would drive in, there were cameras above the road, trying to photograph people coming in, and there was, over time, you get the assumption that you were always on camera.
Because they are not confident of the loyalty of the Tibetan people. Although Chinese Communist Party says Tibetans are happy, Tibet has been developed for the last 60 years or so under their rule, they know that the Tibetan people, in their heart of heart, truly revere their religious tradition, truly revere the Dalai Lama. And the Communist Party doesn't realize that there can be a place both for the Dalai Lama and the Chinese communist system if they act well.